Hello, everyone. Welcome in. This is a reading for sort of the general collective Starseed Wanderer Souls. You don't have to resonate with those terms. Um, if you're here, this is for you. I'm going to let the cards do the talking. A lot of stuff that's probably going to come out. So if at first it doesn't resonate, it might resonate later on in the reading. I do like these kinds of, this format of reading. It's actually how I read for clients. Or used to read for clients if they didn't have a specific question. So here we are. We've got full moon in Leo coming up, and I will do a reading for that. And I'll pull up the chart and talk about that too. So what's going on? What do we need to know as a collective? Everyone that's watching right now. Abandonment. Abandonment. Earth. Yeah, I'm giggling because we know that feeling all too well. We know that feeling of feeling so ostracized, so alone. Um, Actually, and my guides always remind me when I say the term of alone. When I use that word, they remind me that there's a difference between feeling alone and feeling lonely. So, and knowing how to be comfortable in being alone. I've said it since the beginning of my journey, years ago now at this point. Wanderer souls are scattered, and we're scattered because we make a net, right? We connect each other as pillars of light, and then we sort of blanket the planet. That doesn't make us any more special or better than anyone else, right? We're not better than anyone on this planet. And that can be hard to accept. That can be hard to deal with because there are definitely some people that we could look at them and say, how am I not better than you? Like, I don't know, really, really evil people. But it is my belief that either those people have tainted souls, or they have a split soul, or they have two souls within one body, or they have no soul. That's just my belief, though. It doesn't have to be yours. I'm not speaking on those people, those inherently evil people who have been consumed by dark entities in the dark. I'm speaking of just the general populace, right? We're not better than Suzanne down the road. We're just not. But we hold a special kind of light. And as a wanderer soul, with that ability to see beyond the physical, and this isn't going to happen all the time, right? Let's be honest. We're in the real world. We can feel connected right now in this reading, you and I, as wanderer souls. But when we go out into the real world, it can be hard to stay and hold the light. It can feel as if we're abandoned. It can feel as if we just have no sense of support, no support system. That's really the root of an abandonment issue, right? It's feeling like I had the support and it was ripped from me, or it just was never there to begin with. Zeta Reticuli, survival fears. That's another interesting one we could definitely talk about, because that's, I think, what weighs a lot of Starseed Wanderer souls is the fear of surviving, the fear of making it, right? The fear of thriving, um, making sure that we make it through. And if we're working as a collective through survival fears, the theory there is that we're not getting enough, right? That there's a lack somewhere, because usually in a survival fear, the root of that, just like the root of abandonment is that lack of support, the root of the survival fears is the lack of having basic necessities, maybe, or just maybe beyond that. Because a survival fear can be, I have my necessities, but I don't have passion, or I don't have a desire, I don't have a purpose in what I'm doing, or you know what I mean? Um, I don't have love. I don't have the fire element. But with the alchemical process, that's the passion and the drive and the direction to do something. And I'm really feeling that right now. Like as a collective, we just don't have that passion for something. Um, or just a sense of direction or purpose. So we're feeling like we're seeing that too, because that's the thing. As a wanderer soul, you see the survival fears and the abandonment issues within the collective. And as a wayshower, and as a pillar of light, you attract that. And it's not like you attract it because you deserve it, like you deserve to deal with all the bullshit. That always used to bother me when I used to hear, certain light workers say, "Oh well, we attract the dark," and I used to be like, "Well, why? Why do we have to deal with that?" And I would let the ego in and speak on that. And I'll be honest, I still kind of do sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, I'm tired of the dark. I don't want to deal with the dark anymore. I want to see the light. Um, so the why is the key there. Why do we attract, or why do we see so much of this abandonment and people going through survival fears? Well, it's like, let's use the analogy of a 16-year-old learning how to drive for the first time. They're going to do better asking their parent, or a mature older loved one, or even a friend, an older friend, who they like, a family friend or something, right, who has more experience in knowing how to drive than their peer who also just got their license. Do you know what I mean? They're not gonna really um succeed very well if they go to their peer. They will succeed better if they go to someone who's a much more experienced driver and learn from them. That's why. I'm going to stick with that analogy. That was a beautiful analogy, Spirit Guides. Thank you very much. Let's get one more from this deck anyway. Mental transformation. Yeah. Mental transformation. So it looks, you can tell. I work with this deck in a very special way. I work with it in a very intuitive way. And you can kind of feel the interweb of chaotic energy that's coming forward from this card. It's a lot of convoluted, intertwined mess. It's a mess. It's a mess, right? The collective. And it will always be a mess, because that's the beautiful thing about humans. is we're a fucking mess. We're a mess. Um, and I'm starting to think that maybe that's a big lesson, is to love that mess. Love the fact that we are a mess. Honor the fact that we are a mess. Be grateful for the fact that we are a mess, because if we weren't a mess, um, then what are we? These fit together perfect little pieces? No, we're not. The striving for perfection or the perfect person is just, it's a ridiculous notion. It's never going to happen. No one is going to be perfect. No one. That's just not how we're designed. We're designed to be imperfect for our spiritual journeys. Like, it makes sense. Why would we want to be perfect? I think it's I really do think it's ridiculous if we try to heal ourselves 100%. That's never going to happen. It's not possible. You're just going to keep digging and digging and then be there forever. I'm not saying don't heal, right? I'm not saying don't try to be a better person. What I'm saying is don't expect yourself to be perfect 24/7. That, in fact, is probably making a wound in itself, right? That's going to be making more trouble because you're trying to be this perfect person when you know you can't be. So then we feel abandoned, right? Then we feel like we failed. So the mental transformation there is, as a collective, we're going through sort of a rebirth, a restructuring of our mental body, and this is our mentality, yes, but the way that we perceive things, the way that we communicate. Actually, while I'm doing this reading, it's kind of funny because we have a Mercury Kazemi right now, but I know I'm making this kind of trying to make these timeless because I like the flow of reading better if it's just timeless, it's not forced, and it's just let the cards do whatever they need to do. Um, But while I'm doing this reading, there's a Mercury Kazemi, and it's that kind of energy because in a Mercury Kazemi, it's amplified. We feel like our spidey senses are tingling. We feel um, the buzz within it, especially right now where it's Mercury and the Sun in Aquarius. So everything's kind of feeling more electrified, like a static shock. Like when you can feel the static shock in the air, the static in the air. That's well, not, you don't feel the static shock. You get the static shock from feeling the static. You get what I mean? Okay, you can feel it in the air. Um, that's the kind of transformation that we're going through as a collective. We're going to try this new deck here. Inspiration and Gratitude, the Musician. For anyone curious, because I know a lot of people that follow me over here. Third time's a charm on this channel. This is a new deck that I just got. It's called the Citadel Fantasy Oracle, and I was, looking on Amazon because it's been a while since I got a new deck, and I was like, I'm kind of in the mood for something different. Point is, it's the creator was a Dungeons and Dragons master player, and they kind of created their own little world and then their own little oracle deck for that world, which is I think is so. Speaking of, okay, it's very creative. The musician, inspiration and gratitude. So when a musician plays music, when a musician creates music, right? Anytime you speak to a musician, you can hear them talk about the inspiration that they feel from that. They just do it. They take the inspiration from maybe a life experience or from something that they've witnessed, something that they've perceived, right? Some kind of mental transformation that they've gone through, and then they create something beautiful out of it. And I'm getting this sense of like, it's time as a collective and wanderer souls to feel inspired by our journeys and to create something beautiful. It's time for you to create something beautiful, something that you can be grateful for, right? Something that you can be proud of, because I'm getting a sense of pride from that card too. The Scholar, Investigation and Research. Yeah, again, it's very mercurial. There's a lot of maybe we've got well, we could have Archangel Gabriel by our side during. Yeah, okay, thank you. Archangel Gabriel's here. Also, Archangel Sandalphon. What's that musician? But he's kind of like. I've always been able to reach out to Archangel Sandalphon. So, um, but yeah, the Scholar, Investigation and Research. What is it? Like, what is it that inspires you? What can you do as a wanderer soul as you see, the collective going through some survival fears or abandonment issues, or you're dealing with that within yourself? How can you investigate within that and see what you can do to sort of channel that energy into something more productive, something more creative, something more useful, something more balanced? I'm getting the word of balanced. Um, the whole journey, our lives are a lot of figuring things out, a lot of equations, which I'm getting that with it. ruler and that oh geez, I can't compass. I can't remember what it's protractor. Compass. What the heck? Protractor. Um, it's a lot of equations, right? It's a lot of mental stimulation. That's our life. As a wanderer soul, we go through a lot of mental stimulation. Can I get two more from this deck, please? Starseed wanderer soul. What are we dealing with? The Waker. I mean, come on. I love that. The Waker. Awareness and reflection. It's, I mean, I don't really know what to say anymore, because we have to not, we're going to veer off our road. We're going to stray off the road, the spiritual path. That's just, it's going to happen. Um, and if it happens and we don't admit to it, then what we're really doing is just growing this spiritual ego, thinking that we didn't stray off the path. So my point being, as a waker, oh my God, maybe I kind of like that word actually. For a wanderer, a starseed soul, a waker. And this is not the whole woke bullshit thing, okay? This is like being someone who's aware of what's really going on beyond the veil, right? Being aware by being self-reflective, being self-reflective, which can be tough to reflect on ourselves and see all sides of ourselves because sometimes we don't want to either admit it or we don't want to claim certain parts of ourselves. But not only reflecting on ourselves, but also reflecting on the world. There's a massive awareness with that we don't get, with everything else. I'm gonna just take that top one. I didn't realize it was three of them. Okay. The vengeance, overcoming slights and a choice. Interesting. Yeah, so when we're digging and investigating and researching into our own survival failures and abandonment issues and what inspires us and where we have gratitude and we reflect on that, we bring awareness to it. Of course, I just said it, right? There might be parts of us that we don't want to claim. Maybe parts of us that have this vengeful spirit side or this, um, not just vengeful, but spite. I'm getting spite. We can feel a sense of spite. And when we overcome those slights, we have a choice. And we always have a choice. We always have a choice. Okay? Again, I understand. I do it. I just did it yesterday, actually, at work. And I didn't even realize I was doing it until someone brought it to my attention. I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened there. I don't even know why I let that get to me. You know what I mean? Um, so we always have that choice to change things. I just realized in this deck we have all four elements. This is fire, water, air, and earth. We have all four elements. I only chose four cards from that deck. I love when that happens. What else? How long are we? Oh, geez, we're already 18 minutes. Purpose. Again, there it is. The idea of having a purpose. What if the purpose of looking for a purpose is that we have no purpose? I let me rephrase that. Why? Why do we Here's the thing, like if we're constantly looking and searching for a purpose, then we get lost in that looking and we don't see what's really happening. We're not aware of our surroundings, of our immediate environment, and we're not mindful of the fact that we're alive right now and the purpose is right now. Right? So if we're looking for a purpose, something to strive for, then all we're really doing is reflecting everyday normal society, because in everyday normal society we're always looking at the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. We want the next thing. And searching for a purpose can kind of make us feel like that. Like, what's the purpose in this? What's the purpose in that? What am I here for? What am I meant to be? Like, what is my purpose? Um, there is that message, right? Not to let that get to you. Don't get lost in that, because then you're not living. Because you're always looking for what to do next. Then you're not truly living, right? The other message with this card is, what is the purpose? There's that awareness, right? And that reflection, that investigative um, researcher archetype within you that says, okay, what is the purpose of that? What is the purpose of this? And what is my role in that, right? Because everything has a purpose. I know it's annoying to say it, especially when it's really bad. Oh my God, I was just going to say really bad or hard things to go through, like death, right? It can be difficult to deal with accepting that and being grateful for that. Oh, I'm so grateful that that job failed, right? I'm so grateful that that relationship ended. Like, no one's going to say that at first. No one. I mean, unless they really wanted to get out of it. Um, I shouldn't say no one, because there can be something beautiful within that. Um, but yeah, being grateful for the death of a purpose too, right? Being grateful for that can be tough. Can definitely be tough. Focus. I'm okay. We need to look up the horned owl here. We have the horned owl, a bat, and a lynx. Let's look up those spirit animals. That's your homework right now, because they've got some messages for us. And look for them too. If you see a lynx, that's not even a lynx, I don't think, but that's what I'm getting. No, is it a lynx? That looks like a lynx. Help me out, guys. I'm pretty sure that's a lynx, right? But I'm getting that lynx and a bat and a horned owl. If you see them, just tell them thank you. I do that quite often. There was like 2 or 3 weeks where I just kept seeing kestrels, and I've never, and they're native in upstate New York. Like, they not native, but they're around. But I've never in my whole life of living here, almost my whole life of living in upstate New York, I never saw one. And for like 2 or 3 weeks straight, I saw one like every other day in real life, and I'm like, okay, I get it, spirit animal. Like, I get it. I need to look up the meaning of that. So, and that was right before I landed a job that I actually like right now. So, you know what I mean? They've got messages. They've got messages all the time. What else? I haven't even touched the tarot yet. This might be a really long reading. Prosperity, Archangel Ariel. Your material needs are provided as you follow your intuition and manifest your dreams into a reality. That's interesting that I'm speaking about the animals, and Archangel Ariel is the archangel of the animal kingdom. So, animal, plant, and mineral kingdom, actually. So, thank you, Archangel Ariel. But yeah, your material needs are met. That, and remember how I said that about this survival fear of just like, because we're thrown into that, and I am guilty of that. Okay, especially when I come into some money, I'm like, oh, I want to get that. Oh, I want to get that, because I haven't done that in a while, or I want to do this, or I actually have money to do that. So I just go crazy, and then I'm like, okay, slow down. But this is what happens, because I live paycheck to paycheck most of my time. So when I come into a little bit of money, I get overzealous. 333 on the camera. So material needs provided as you follow your intuition and manifest your dreams into a reality. Whatever you're trying to manifest, whatever you're trying to create with that um, creative energy of the musician archetype there, you have this you have to have the trust within yourself to follow what you're trying to do, right? To follow every step that you're taking. We can always seek that guidance externally, right? Sometimes we'll get so caught up in, I don't know what to do. Somebody please tell me what to do. Somebody help me out, especially like in our team of light. Like, come on, is this going to happen? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? Which, by the way, I do it with my guides, and every time I do it, they remind me that they can't tell me exactly what to do. It's going to infringe upon my free will. Your spirit guides are never going to tell you this is what you need to do ever. Period. If they are, then something's wrong, because then you need to be careful of that, because that's not your spirit guide talking. Um, they can't. They cannot do that. It's not within universal law of the path of the light to tell you exactly step by step what you need to do. That's why they're called guides. right? They can guide you in the right direction. They can give, um, you know, some advice, but that's about it. It's up to us, as my point. We have to learn how to follow. Thank you, Archangel Ariel. This is beautiful advice. How to follow our own advice, our own intuition, our own, how to trust ourselves, how to trust ourselves as we're doing things, Because if we don't trust ourselves, then we can't trust anybody, period. And our life's going to feel like a mess. A, a beautiful mess, sure, but it's going to feel like a mess. All right, claircognizance. Pay attention to the thoughts and ideas that come to you as they are answered prayers. Again, there's something here very, very deeply, and it's Archangel Uriel, who's the Archangel of Purpose. So, okay, everything's kind of falling into place here. There's a really big message in this reading about using your brain, using your beautiful, big, bad brain um, to honor those thoughts and those ideas, to honor those. Oh, look at Archangel Sandalphon. I'll read that in a minute. Honor those perspectives, those opinions, those. Okay, I'm just going to stick with ideas because the idea here, it's going to like propel you, I guess. That's what I'm feeling like. It's going to kind of take you to the next level if you just learn to trust those ideas that you get claircognizant wise. Claircognizantly, is that a word? I don't know if you can use that as a verb, but when you've got, when you're honoring the use of your claircognizance, meaning that instantaneous knowing, that's claircognizance, right? You just know. You just have this spark, this epiphany, and you just know. Gift from God, Archangel Sandalphon. We angels bring you gifts from your Creator. Open your arms to receive. Thank you, Archangel Sandalphon. Again, the musician is out. He's here. So that's the thing. Like and maybe that's the vengeance. Maybe it's more than spite. Maybe it's jealousy a little bit, right? Like we get jealous of seeing other people. Well, you know, they're 25 and they already own a home, or they're 30 and they already are married with kids, or I don't know why I'm using those examples, but those are just examples of like we look at someone else. And my point is sometimes we can look at someone else and want what they have and be like, why don't I have what they have? That we forget that we have our own gifts from God. We have our own gifts from God. And God can mean whatever it means to you. All right. For me, God is life. That's God, life. Um, so we have to thank the universe, right? And thank God, again, whatever that means to you, the creator, life source energy, for providing us with our own creative um, inspiration. We have our own creative inspiration. That's the mental transformation there, right? All right, let's close this reading out with some tarot because we're like 30 minutes in here. Justice. So the perspective here is to not look at life as unfair or fair. Or to not, I said that wrong. Because there's more, okay, let me say it this way. There's more than the black and white, right? There's gray area, but there is a balance of both. And the right things will happen at the right time. If you look back at some things and you say, if that had happened earlier, I probably wouldn't have been prepared for it, right? I wouldn't have been ready for it. There's no way I would have been ready for it. There's a reason for that. Again, there's something here about reminding yourself that there's a purpose and a reason. There is a purpose and a reason. There's a purpose and a reason why you have these gifts, right? There's a purpose and a reason why you're very focused right now, why you're a waker, why you're a wanderer. Um, there's a purpose and a reason why there's something that you need to investigate into and research. Drama, Seven of Wands, man, it's my drama card. There's a purpose and a reason to the drama. Always. Because that's creating friction, right? It's kind of like a square in astrology. Drama is a square. It creates friction to force change. To to get to the root, to the real problems. So while you're dealing with some drama, while you're conquering some battles, remember that you do what you feel is right. Because there's a moral compass here that we need to follow when justice comes out. Justice is saying, what's the morality in the situation? You know, what's going on here? Ten of Pentacles. There's your prosperity. There's your abundance. As you follow your heart, as you follow your intuition, because you know which direction to go to. You don't need guidance. You can ask for it. You can be thankful for it, and look to your spirit guides, of course. But once you pick up sort of like a whereabout, right? It's kind of like your spirit guides, you'll be like, I don't know where Chicago is. Your spirit guides will be like, it's somewhere in the middle of the United States. That's what they'll do. But you have to find Chicago. Why am I getting Chicago? I don't know. That's such a random. That just popped up. Two more from this deck, and then I'll get that last deck there. Thank you. Four of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles. If we want to make, that's the thing. Like, we get so caught up in, again, we got to remember that we get so caught up in what we don't have. This is literally the same energy here. The gifts from God is the Four of Cups. I always say that because with the Four of Cups in the traditional deck, you can see that it's the hand of God giving you a cup. But either you're not paying attention, or you're rejecting it, or being in denial of it for some reason. And it's a very real thing. Ace of Pentacles. This is the luckiest card in the tarot, and it's coming out for us. It is a beautiful card. One of my favorite cards, because it says that there's something very real that's about to happen that you can see, taste, touch, hear, and feel. You know what I mean? Um, it's real change. It's a timeline shift. You're about to approach this timeline shift, this threshold that you're about to step through, and you have to choose. That choice, right? It's a choice, reject it or accept it. But either way, it's up to you. Five of Pentacles. There's the abandonment issues again. Again, we have this abandonment issue of like not oh, the devil's on the bottom. It's the only one that I looked on the bottom of the deck too. um yeah, feeling that lack of support. There's that Three of Cups. Moving through that though, like emotionally moving through that, being proud of yourself that you are more self-aware, that you do have that self-growth and self-knowledge of how to deal with that emotionally. Because now we're talking about the emotions really quick here. We've been talking about the mental body this whole time, but now we're talking about the emotional body and knowing the ins and outs of how you work, of how you operate, right? Someone brought, again, let me use the example of yesterday, someone bringing it to my attention that I was behaving in a certain way that I shouldn't have behaved. And I was like, holy shit, I do that. I'm sorry. And I apologized to the person that I did it to, because I felt really terrible that it even came out. And it was like an old part of me that I forgot about. So being aware of that, um, in order to move in the right direction, in order to want to move in the right direction. Because if you feel this sense of abandonment, ostracized, lonely, left behind, the door is shut on you, it's slammed in your face and you're stuck outside in the cold. That's the kind of energy that's there. Look at that. Why? You can see, it's so funny. You can see this little cherub kind of looking at that, right? That's you. That's the higher version of you. Again, not better or worse, higher and lower, two different things, but it doesn't mean it's better. It doesn't mean that it's high and mighty, okay? Because there's both sides and everything. There's a duality of this existence. But and seeing why, questioning, researching, investigating. That's the key here. It's time to pick it apart, get to the root of things. All right. Well, 35 minutes ish in, 34 minutes in it. I love you. I hope this helped. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you in the next one.